The next thing that I want to show you is the flexibility in apps. So the photo app, for instance, is very well built and yeah, very elaborate. So I have photos here on my album, just the photos that I made, but also photos of me. So I have my camera roll, and these are like the photos that I have. Yeah, very cool, not cool. But I also have the albums, and the albums not only include photos that I saved or got on WhatsApp or screenshots, but also photos from my Facebook, fully integrated. So this is back when I had an Xperia phone, and you see all the pictures that I uploaded. Yeah, it's really funny. All the pictures that I uploaded are right here. And something that's also very nice that you can do. So this is the Facebook album. So obviously it gives you less rights of what you want to do. But this, for instance, so I had a new haircut, you know. I set it up. But for instance, if I want to have this picture that I took in our phone store, and I want to do something with it, I have all the options right here. So I can edit it, and it gives me all the apps that have the possibility or anything to do with editing photos. So for instance, SixTag, that's the Facebook client, or Snapchat. I could just go on SixTag, and from within the photo app, I can actually upload this photo directly to my Instagram, with filters and everything, and all the cool stuff that you have with the SixTag app, which is way more elaborate than the official Instagram app. But we'll get back to that a little later, so I can blur the picture over here. So that's really nice. It lets me do that within the app, within the Photos app, and connect to another app, and the app knows exactly what it needs to do. So it resizes the photo, adapts it for Instagram, as example. But I could also do it with Facebook directly from here. So I could directly upload it to Facebook, because Facebook is integrated into the phone. Now that is of course something that iOS also has, so that's not really something new. But you really see that that all of the apps that have to do that are in the same context are usable. So for instance, I like Creative Studio from Nokia. It has really nice effects. I can use those effects if I want to, just because it has to do with this phone. So I can do anything with a picture app without opening the editing app itself. So that is something that Windows Phone really has nailed, and something that's also available on Android, of course, but still absent in something like iOS. So that really makes it easier to use the apps that you have installed more efficiently, because you don't have to start up the app within the app, upload anything. So that is also one of the plus points that really makes Windows Phone fun to use and easy to use. And also I think in that aspect it is more similar to Android than it is to iOS. So we just covered some basics in Windows Phone, and now let's see how it is compared to iOS. The things you have to do in iOS for all of those same things. So the first one, for example, was changing my Facebook picture, or starting a chat within Facebook. You really have to go to the Facebook Messenger app or the Facebook app, but also something else that's really different. Let's go to the photos. So we have the photos right here. So this is let's see. Let's just take an example of a photo. So if I want to edit it, I can just edit it in the native iOS editor, but I can't use any other editing apps other than the one that is within iOS itself. So something like that just isn't very nice. Also, sharing options. I selected this photo. Next. There's only a limited list of apps that I can use to share a picture on. So for instance, I do have Instagram installed on this phone, but as you just saw, it won't let me select Instagram because it is not, it doesn't have permission from iOS. So that is something that is really cumbersome, and well, I think it's a step back in user friendliness. So you can copy it, AirPlay uses wallpapers, all the standard things are included, but you're really limited in which apps you can use to share the picture with. While there is things like StickStag and everything like that, but it just won't let you do that. So for instance, if I do want to have that picture that I just had on Instagram, I'll just have to start up the Instagram app. I have to go to the photo app, to the album, yeah, and look for the same picture. It's here, and only now it will allow me to upload it to Instagram. It doesn't take too long, but you just see that in comparison it just takes a while longer, and it's just a little less efficient. So that's one of the things that Windows Phone really has going for it. I believe Android has that to a certain standard as well. It's not also with all the apps, but you really see that does make a difference in how many steps you have to take to do a certain thing, to get something done on the phone. And now we're coming to the actually the biggest part of this this overview of how I experienced Windows Phone 8 compared to yeah, the other two big ones, and that is apps. Now we all know that Android and iOS have a lot more apps, but the nice thing in Windows Phone is just like contacts, like I already said. So this is the People Hub on Windows. So for instance, I have somebody that I want to reach, or I want to yeah, I want to know what he's up to. I just go to his page, and I can see anything he's doing on Facebook. I can chat to him directly. I can see what's new. I can see his photos. But if I want to check that instantly, all I have to do is the pin button. And the pin button is something that is really overlooked in a lot of reviews, because it is really one of the pinnacles of Windows Phone. So for instance, it lets me attach profiles to the home screen. So now I have my friend here, and whenever I need him, I can tap him here, and I can contact him on Facebook. If I also had his number or anything like that, or any other records, I could also do that from this tile. So it's really easy to configure it, just like Joe Belfiore said, to make it really personal, to interact with somebody. But something that I think is the most overlooked fact in Windows Phone is that this pin function, it applies to a lot of apps. So usually, if you would compare the apps on all the three systems and how powerful they are and how practical they are, on Android the apps consist of three components. That is the app itself. You have some widgets that you can use with Facebook, for instance, or Flipboard, and just like I demonstrated, similar to Windows Phone, when you do share an app that has the same context. So for instance, you have a picture and you want to do something with it in a picture app, it will give you the list. So if you take a photo, it will give you an option in the options tray to upload it directly to Instagram, or upload it directly to StickStag. So that is something that these two platforms have in common. But the nice thing about Windows Phone is, with any app, you can just pin parts of the app to the home screen, and in that, if you look at it that way, it means that with Windows Phone you get the app in your options drawer, but you can also disperse the functionalities of the app as you please. So you can only use certain aspects of the app. So the first example that I want to give to you is Facebook. So Facebook, we already talked about Facebook, and the example that I just showed you is one that is uniquely to Facebook because it's integrated in Windows Phone. But also, you can really in the app itself, you can really integrate parts of the app in it. So what you see here are two links of things that I use a lot on Facebook, and that is messages. And like I said, I'm an Arsenal fan. I like to check their page and see what they're up to. So here you can do that really easily. So for instance, I'm starting up the Facebook app. You know, I have all my stuff. It looks pretty similar like to on other platforms, only with the style of Windows Phone. But here I have my groups and the things that I like. Um, let's just see. So I have pages. Let's see, groups. So these are some of the groups that that I belong to. Well, if I really want to get into the group, it's really easy. I can just pin it to the start screen, and what it does, it pins it to the start screen, that particular page that I want to reach in the Facebook app. So I no longer have to start up the Facebook app, go to more groups, take the group, but I just tap it over here. Sorry, tapping. I just tap it here, and it starts up the Facebook app, and I instantly get into the group. So that is also something that's really nice, and really makes using the phone or getting what you want out of the phone really fast. I'm a human technology interaction designer, and the same thing applies to everything. If a web page is complicated, you lose interest and you don't find what you want. But if everything is really clear and really well with the subtext, and you really have a overview of where you need to go, then the website experience, the browser experience, is a lot better. So this is one of the other things that the Facebook has going on the Windows Phone platform, and that is just really nice. So we just saw how you get the Facebook shortcuts and get an extra user experience out of the Windows Phone Facebook app. And now let's try the same thing in iOS. So if I want to do the same thing, I want to reach that page that I want, that I'm a part of. So it either be a fan page like the Arsenal fan page, like where they have all the updates and the lineups for every game. If I want to do the same thing in iOS, I have to start up the app. This is a 4S, so it's a little bit slower than other iPhones, but that's not what we're doing right here. We're just comparing how easy it is to use and access your things. So what I have to do here is I start up the Facebook app, I go to More, and then I go to the group, and then I get into the group. And every time I want to use this, so now I've started it up, of course, so I can get back to it via multitasking, but every time I want to do that, I have to take all these steps to do that, because it always in default starts up the news feed. So I have to do 2 or 3 taps more to get the same result. And if there are several groups that I have, then of course it becomes cumbersome and it's just not really well thought out. And in that view, you just can see that Windows Phone is a lot more modern. I wouldn't say iOS is old, but you just see that is something uniquely the Windows Phone is, and it's not even something that Android has. That's why I didn't really bother to use an Android phone, because a lot of things that Android has and iOS has is really similar. So the Facebook app is almost the same, only a different style because of iOS 7. But that is also one of the main things that you just see that this platform just doesn't offer yet. I don't know if they're going to do it in the future, but that is just really the philosophy behind Windows Phone. Make everything easier. I'm just going to show you a few more examples. Next app that I'm going to demonstrate is Spotify. So Spotify for Windows Phone, well, it offers about the same functionality. I think you just don't have the live radios, but Spotify for me, the extra thing is my playlist. So I have my playlist right here, and as you see, I start up Spotify. That's how I use it, and I go to my playlist. So, for instance, I'm listening to the new Eminem album. But what Windows Phone does really nicely is, again, the pin. So I go to the playlist. I'm in the playlist, sorry. So I go to the playlist. I tap to hold it, and I can pin it to the start. So now I have the Eminem album. You also saw some Drake albums that I have directly here, and I can directly start it from the home screen. So I have Eminem here. I just want to listen to Eminem. So I start it up, and it starts playing the playlist right from the home screen. And that is really very convenient and really easy to use. Because of course in iOS you have the play buttons, and you can start your song where you left it. So let me just show you that. So you have of course the new iOS feature that you can swipe from the bottom. Yeah, there it is. Oop. Oop, oop, oop. Not very good at this yet. So you can just play your music from here if you had something that you were playing. So that's really nice. But if I want to do the same thing that I just did with the Eminem EP, I have to go to Spotify. So I had it in a folder here. So that's another thing that you have to do, but that's not necessarily a problem. But you start up Spotify. Again, it's not the fastest, but that's not the point of this review. So here I have the same playlist on here, and if I want to play Eminem, I tap Eminem, and then it plays. So I have to do a lot more things in order to get the same result. So again, let's see. I go back, hide it, stop it from playing. Okay, oops. I don't want to do that. So again, you start from the home screen, and I have it in a folder in this instance because it's a music app, but it's just a lot more things that I have to do. Of course now, like I said, I believe now through iOS 7, yeah, I can play the same album from here. But it's just really cumbersome if I wanna play a new song from another playlist, from another artist. I have to go to Music, start up the Spotify app, and so I have J Dilla over here, Rough Draft, and start playing it from here. So you just have to do a lot of things. And if I just compare that again to Windows Phone, so if I want to do the same thing on the Windows Phone, it also shows me the J Dilla app. So it's a nice animation. It's a live tile. I just tap it, starts on Spotify, starts playing the Dilla playlist. So it's really easy to get into it. So that is something that is really nice. And another thing that I'm going to show you in a minute is the video and the music hub and how well it integrates with all the apps. But I'll show you that a little later. So here you on Windows Phone you have the controls right over here, and you can do another track or anything. So that's similar to what you have on iPhone. But that's not really the point here. The point here is the steps that you have to take to do something on the phone. In this instance, playing a playlist from a Spotify app. So you really see Spotify again, another app that is really well integrated and scattered across the Windows Phone platform, and you can use it as powerful as you want. So, for instance, you have 10 playlists, and there's like 2 playlists that you listen to every day. Like, for instance, I'm not saying they're my favorite playlists, but 2 of the nicest albums I've had so far: the new Eminem album and the J Dilla album. And they're just one tap away from accessing them and playing. That is just really nice and really convenient, and really another example of how well optimized and thought out the apps work on this platform. So it's not necessarily that you have more apps, but the apps are just way easier to use and more powerful and easier in the user experience.